So what is human-centered capitalism then? How does human-centered capitalism change this? And how is it different from UBI?
Well, UBI is a function of human-centered capitalism.
I was actually going to ask, how is it different from socialism?
Well, it is socialism.
There it is. I was going to say, it sounds like you're describing socialism.
I'm going to push back on that. I feel really strongly about this, and it's been really unfortunate that we've kind of misused the term socialism, because traditionally what socialism means is it means the seizing of production. It means that you are having government oversight of how things are being produced, and the government gets a say in which companies produce what and how much they produce. It's essentially kind of what China is doing. China's trying to move in a more capitalist direction.
That's communism.
But it's not completely, it is in between though. And when we talk about socialism in this country, people like Bernie Sanders, democratic socialism is different. It's about, you still have capitalism, you still have the free market, but you have the government stepping in to create regulations to protect people, to tax these companies, to create a social safety net so that the people are still, taking advantage of the growth in the economy without just being left out. And over the past 30, 40, even 50 years now, since 1970, we've had this extreme divergence between labor, wages and labor going up with GDP. So all of a sudden, wages stagnating and GDP continuing to skyrocket because productivity goes up as you get more technology into the marketplace, and as technology is able to replace the need for workers, so workers don't end up taking advantage of this increase in productivity. So how does human-centered capitalism change that? And do you think it is the same thing as socialism, or would you say that they differ?
Before you finish that, you didn't actually explain why you think that is different. Why what Boyce just explained was actually not socialism. What you just explained was communism.
No, I mean, socialism is also about having government control over the means of production, is it not?
No. So let's talk about the labels, right? Socialism means you all put your resources in a pot for the better of society, social security.
Right, but not all of your resources.
No. Just an agreed amount. So communism is government resources. They own everything. They all own all means of production.
Okay.
Like the government owns production. So Amazon belongs to the government. That's communism.
Right.
And you get what they tell you you're worth. That's
so socialism. Right. So socialism is just that the social group, the government
resources
collects a small or a percentage of the GDP, which is what we have.
Every tax you pay is socialized.
Yeah.
Got you.
Taxes are socialism.
Everything about taxes is socialism, 100%.
Libraries are socialism.
Yeah. Cops, military, all that infrastructure stuff, right? So we have socialized democracy here as it is. We always have.
Right.
That's how we become a civilized country with socialism. We are social creatures. We are primates that are evolved to be social. And we share resources since back in the day.
So now that the term socialism, though, has been so demonized in this country, is human-centered capitalism a better phrase?
No, I think socializing resources is a function of human-centered capitalism. But the end goal has to be to make the human experience better, not the Wall Street experience better, not to reward hoarding of resources.
Right.
Jeff Bezos.
It shouldn't be about what the board rewards are. It should be about what the consumer rewards are.
And not being dependent on those at top to trickle down some bullshit. You ever seen a bucket trickle?
Right.
How much water you got to put in there to get
That's a lot.
How much temperature change do you got to get condensation to create a trickle? It takes a lot of external heat to make water condensate on the surface. So we got to pump up the heat to get it to trickle down. That shit. That is ridiculous.
I mean, I feel like trickle down economics have been disproved over and over and over again since Reagan. But here we are still having to deal with this myth.
Well, it's synonymous with the American dream. It's a joke. It's a myth. It is a carrot meant for you to chase in a hamster wheel. The faster you run, the faster it spins. And the more they collect from you, literally it's a hamster wheel making electricity for them to charge you for using that electricity to run your hamster wheel.
Right. Exactly. Which is nonsense.
But to get back to what your point was, is human-centered capitalism is a measurement to say, okay, we're going to create this service. How can we do it efficiently? First and foremost, let's control costs. That's part of capitalism. That's part of the conservative point of view. That's how we sell it to the other side of the aisle, if you will, of, okay, we have capital, and you can't have capitalism without
capital.
Demand. And those in demand need capital. This just is so common sense. I just don't understand how someone has a problem with this logic. I mean, you see a tree bearing fruit. Do you pour water on the fruit? No, you rot that fruit. You pour it in the goddamn ground where the soil is, where it feeds the roots. We are the roots.
I love that analogy.
We're the roots, and each apple is an industry.
Right.
The industry's doing fine. You know, it's doing fine. Don't pour more water on the fruit. It don't need water. It needs roots.
That is a great analogy. I like that.
Well, I did a whole video on this shit a long time ago. Called like I can't remember what I called it, but I used the tree analogy and said, okay, you know, you water the root, not the fruit, or some bullshit.
No, that's great.
That's smart.
That's phenomenal. That's the first time I've heard that. I love that. So human centered capitalism is about, you know, rethinking how we're measuring things, first of all, in the economy, and what priorities we're putting on things. And I love that Yang talked about this in his presidential campaign, because he's like, this isn't something that, you know, is like some big promise. And a lot of the problem is these politicians, especially in a presidential run, will promise a lot of things, and then they'll get into the White House and realize that, oh, we can't do anything because Congress doesn't agree with me. And Yang was like, look, I don't even need Congress to go along with this. I could walk down to the you know, Bureau of Statistics or whatever it is and be like, look, we're getting rid of GDP. Here are the numbers we're going to measure during my presidency, and I want to get updates on these every, you know, quarter and every year, so that I can give my presentations to the country on this is how we're doing as a country. And that doesn't just change how he as president would go about making changes in the country, but it also changes how people in their own communities think about things and what they prioritize when they recognize that, like, oh man, maybe we're not doing so great in these metrics in our community. Maybe these are things that we need to be focusing on instead of watering the fruit, like you said. I love that.
Well, and the human-centered capitalism ultimately is about abolishing poverty and ending homelessness and addressing the mental health crisis and the drug addiction crisis, which is a mental health crisis in this country. Period. No one chooses to be an addict.
Right. Do you think that?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I'll go.
Do you think that do you think people's perspectives on this are changing as a result of the pandemic? Because it's very easy in the past to think about these problems as other people's problems, and they don't affect me. So I want to talk about and think about the things that affect me in my daily life. I'm not homeless. I don't know anybody who's homeless. I'm not addicted to drugs. I don't know anybody who's addicted to drugs. Anybody who does get addicted to drugs, it's their problem. They shouldn't have done that. So I don't need to worry about that, right? As long as I put my head down and do the good work I'm supposed to do, the system is set up to enable people like me who want to work hard and want to thrive in this country. I think that the pandemic has forced us to recognize that we are all so interconnected. If we don't take care of each other, it affects all of us. I thought that, especially at the beginning. The problem was the stock market kept trucking along. So the wealthiest people in society aren't affected by this at the end of the day. Yes, they're not out maybe partying as much, although some of them still are, you know, but how has people's minds changed? I think that there's been a groundswell of support for these ideas as a result of people recognizing that, like, we need to do more about taking care of the roots of our system, you know, recognizing that we can give people money and it actually has a positive effect on local communities. It doesn't just make people lazy and, you know, and when people do go back to work, are we going to still have this idea that giving people money is a good thing? How is the pandemic changing people's minds on this?
Well, I would like to point out the person you described, I don't know anybody like that, is first of all a liar and privileged.
Yep.
Well, amen. But people like to think like that.
Right. But they're lying to themselves and others, because there's not a single person on planet fucking Earth that can say they don't know someone that is not addicted to drugs or doesn't have a mental health issue.
Right.
Just because you don't hear about it doesn't mean you don't know, like you don't know that person.
So it's been easy to sweep under the rug. Right. So is that changing?
I think so. Well, I can't say absolutely. I think so because now people are incentivized to become more informed, because I think a lot of people, this snuck up on them, me included. Like this whole thing snuck up and like Trump won.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I shouldn't have went to sleep last night. I should have paid attention, but it's too late. Like I went to bed thinking, damn it, Hillary's going to win. Shit. I didn't vote for her. I voted third party because I didn't like either one of them.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's changed our perspectives because people that own businesses pay their people slave wages.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're like, wait a minute, I make what they make? Oh shit. Yeah. How'd they make it? So I'm hoping this can, if you suffer with someone, you bond.
Mm.
Like trauma bonding, yeah.
It's a form of bonding, like military service.
Mm-hmm.
Living in a homeless encampment, being maybe a kid in the what do you call it, the foster care system. Mm-hmm. There's a bond there because you suffered, you survived, and you helped each other. Hopefully,
your trench buddies, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Trench buddies.
That's exactly it, man. And so I think that type of suffering, we've all suffered during this pandemic for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm one of the lucky ones that didn't lose his job because I'm a healthcare worker in the front lines. So
right.
I didn't suffer financially, but mentally it's like, this is bad. Like I thrive off of people, human. Like I hug my coworkers. I haven't hugged a coworker in a year and a half or over a year, a little over a year now. Yeah. But like I used to hug my coworkers and give my patients a hug goodbye, the little old ladies,
Yes.
Give them a hug and they kiss you on the cheek and see you later, sweetie. Like I love it, man.
Yes.
Can't do that no more. Can't shake
so
your
weird
hand, man.
Thanks for checking out this clip from our show.
To watch more clips or full episodes, click on our profile below.
If you want to stay up to date on all of our new episodes and videos, click subscribe.
And if you have any ideas for future guests or topics that you would like to see us cover on the show,
leave us a message in the comments or connect with us on any of our social media channels at Funtime Program.
Or on our website at funtimeprogram.com.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.